What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 121 of the Game Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Kenny, and with me is Tess.
Hello, everybody.
And we are back for another awesome show. Today, we're going to be talking about a couple things. One of the big, if you've been like on the internet recently, then you know what a lot of this is. But because I think it's just Twitter, and maybe Instagram. I think, but I think Twitter
Mm,
definitely, and Twitter has always been a mess, but I feel like it's extra now for various reasons, whether it's political or Elon or whatever the case may be. But
mhm,
it seems to like people have gotten to the point where there's no wiggle room for anything. Like
mm,
there's never been nuance on Twitter. Just throw it out there.
yeah.
But right now it's like even like you can ask a question. Like you could be like, "Hey, so I heard you like apples. Have you ever tried green apples?" And they'll say something like, of course I have, you idiot. Like, why did you blah blah? And what do you have against oranges? Nah, nah. Like,
Mhm,
it
yeah,
just lose their minds. And I'm like, wow, like what is happening? What is
yeah,
going on in the world that you are that angry?
yeah.
I mean, I understand why you could be that angry, but typically it's not that. It's either you being a troll or you just think that this is how people should talk on the internet. There's this weird thing where people are like, oh, it's just the internet. That's how people are. I'm like, yeah, but you don't have to be. You
Yeah,
don't
you don't
have to
have to be.
be.
It's an active
You know what I
choice.
mean? It's like, what is wrong with you? And so this kind of brings us to our first topic that I want to
Mhm.
kind of talk about, and that's the whole, uh, you know, Tiana Taylor winning her first Golden Globe award for One Battle After Another. People were upset, and I'm trying to figure out why, because that film. So let me jump into the criticism of that particular thing first. They were like, her character is over sexualized in the film,
Mm,
and they were like they didn't like how she was being portrayed, like a black woman being portrayed, which brings us to the overall topic of how should black people act in films. And we kind of spoke about this a little bit eons ago when we talked about black exploitation and how things evolved from there, where you have a subset of people who are like back in the day who are like black exploitation films are great because at least we are on television, we're in theaters, and we get to control the narrative, even though we have to go to the extremes to actually be put on the screen. It's not blackface. And then you had another group of people who are like, yeah, but it's harmful. It's all stereotypes all the time. And these things kind of had to like balance out in some sort of fashion. It wasn't Amos and Andy, but it was still kind of harmful in certain ways. And I get
mm,
those two arguments, and they're actually both very valid. And then
mm,
you fast forward to, years from then, and you get the concept of, well, the movies that are greenlit are, slave films, or, you know, if you get typecast, you're playing a drug dealer, and that's all black people can be is drug dealers, and et cetera, et cetera. And so we had to push against that. You had like the Cosby Show, we had the Rock Show, we had the Fresh Prince, where you can see positive, black people on TV, and to counterbalance these are the only roles you guys are going to get,
mm.
type stuff, right? And this, I know I'm kind of, simplifying it a bit, but I'm trying to get you guys up to, caught up to speed, so to speak. And so we come to this one, and, in the film, I'm not going to spoil it, but she is very hypersexualized, and she's using it as a weapon. It's partially part of her character, because people were saying, like, in defense was like, she was using it because the person that she had, that was trying to control her, she was using it to control them. And I would argue that even before then, she was over sexualized because of how she was with her partner at the time, right? None of that actually mattered to me when I was watching the film because I thought the film was mid anyways. I thought that the script was bad, very bad. It got to the point where I was texting, not texting, I was tweeting while watching. I paused it. I didn't watch it in theater. I paused it, and I was like, "This is a joke, right?" Because I say that because it was acclaimed, like all this, like, oh, it's the best movie of the year or whatever. And I was like, no, sinners exist. So what?
Right.
But yeah, so I was like, this is interesting. Like, people like this. Like, this is. I was like, please tell me this gets better. And it does to a degree, and I think that's partially because you have some amazing actors in this film. You have a really really good director. There's going to be magic that happens. So there's actually a large portion of the film that's just amazing before it gets back to Midtown. And
Mm,
so I do understand that people will like it in parts, but the beginning parts, and this is the part that we're talking about mostly, was just bad. But it wasn't because of that. I think that Teyana Taylor did a great job for what she was given, and I think that we are allowed to portray it. That the whole problem with our the roles that we were given is that we couldn't choose. It was kind of like this was hot in Hollywood. You gotta be a drug dealer. This was hot
Mm,
in Hollywood. If you weren't Denzel, or if it wasn't a Spike Lee flick where we could actually kind of determine how we want to look,
right.
it's kind of like you had to be a certain way. There was a couple people, and there's that whole myth of there's going to be one successful black person at a time. So you had the Wesley Snipes era, you had the Will Smith era, and stuff like that. But in terms of just our how we want to look, it kind of came down to black directors, um, to where we would kind of get that wiggle room, right? So now we get to the point where we can kind of do anything, and people are upset. A lot of it's coming from people who are younger, who might not know any of that history,
Mhm.
and some of it might be coming from just the idea of how it looked, because it doesn't look good, but that's kind of the point. Like it's not supposed to be a positive thing, and I
Mhm.
think people are missing that. Like showing a negative thing in a film doesn't mean you are championing that negative thing. Um, and I think people are kind of like misconstruing that, whatever. But regardless of how you feel about it, the conversation online is toxic. It is like I was like I was gonna like dip my toe in. I was like, nah, you know what? I might get my leg ripped off. So let me not do that, and let me go do a safe space, this podcast, where I could
Right.
kind of express myself in a manner that is a little bit more healthy. Um, so I wanted to, ask you, Tess, being a black woman, and then
Mhm.
also just the idea of this notion of like what is or isn't acceptable, because I do think there is a line in terms of how we are portrayed. Like for instance, this will help everyone. If you've seen the Wayans show, right, the Wayans brothers show, there's a part of the show where, or an episode where Marlon's character is going to do advertisement. Like he's someone found him. It was like, oh, you look handsome or whatever, and you're funny. We're gonna put you in commercials. And the first commercials he was in were fine. They were stereotypical, but they were fine. And then
Mhm.
there was another commercial that he did towards the end, where like his grandpa and everything were saying like, or pops was saying like, "Hey man, I think they're like using you. Like this is on some Sambo, blackface, like just really coonery type stuff." And he's like, "Nah,
Mhm.
we're good. We're getting paid well and everything's cool." And it was like a malt liquor commercial, and it was they were doing the absolute most, and it was obviously it was over the top to be funny too, but it was disgusting to the point where they removed the laugh tracks. There's no laugh tracks when it's happening because they don't want you to think
Wow.
it's funny. They
Yeah.
want you to be like, this is bad. And so I do think there is an area where we should not go to. Outside of that, I think you should be able to be, if you want to be portray a doctor, a scientist, a drug dealer, a vampire, like whatever you want to be. I think you
Mhm.
can. That's the whole idea of acting. I don't think it has to
Right.
necessarily always be a racial thing, even when it is a racial thing, if that makes sense.
I hear you. I agree to that. I don't know. I mean, I don't wanna say I have to have seen it to chime in, because I didn't. I haven't watched it yet because I haven't
Right.
watched anything, because
Right.
I don't do anything but go work and take care of my dog. And and I don't even know if
for
I'm
for
doing that
valid
great.
reasons. For
Valid,
valid reasons.
valid, valid, valid
Right.
reasons. I mean, am I taking care of her? She's constantly licking a pillow as if that is the only activity she's ever learned to do. Poor child. And but I guess when it comes to people's opinions of over sexualization of black females, I mean, I understand that. I understand everything that it means. And and I think that kind of goes back to Halle Berry winning a Oscar for her role in Monsters Ball,
Right. Right.
you know? And I mean, if we go back to that, of course I'm happy Halle won an Oscar. Um I just didn't I never thought that that was her best work. And I just thought it was so interesting that that got her in that role, which was just so traumatic on it. I just think everything in that movie was just traumatic, but I don't think that trauma is what drives your acting ability. I'm just saying everybody
Right.
has
Right.
their what is it called? Like what they're really good at.
Right.
and and that wasn't the best. That wasn't
Right.
the best one. But again, we also have to remember the Oscars are not about somebody doing their best work. They're about, was it greater than the other people in the category that people voted for because
Exactly.
they actually watched the films. I mean, we found out that the Academy doesn't have the voting body, majority of the voting body doesn't even watch the films.
Yeah, they don't
It's
have to watch all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a popularity contest at that point, or they just ask somebody else. So by the way, I haven't been able to watch 27 movies, so you tell me what you think, and then I will be like, "Oh my god, those are great points, and I'm just gonna vote the way you vote," type thing, or whatever. I don't know, I could be wrong, but, um,
It's telling. It's telling,
yeah,
and I also agree with what you were saying in terms of the competition at that year. Like maybe
yeah,
you had a better year, but the competition was extremely stiff
yeah,
versus this year, not as much, but you still did solid. So we put,
yeah,
you got in there.
yeah,
Um, and then also the age of the people who were voting, because
right.
we've seen that with the Grammys. Like when the younger people got in, things were righted a little bit, if you will. Um,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I could definitely see that.
yeah,
But yeah, it was at the same time though, I don't necessarily think that it was the sexual part that kinda put her
mhm,
over the top, maybe. I can't remember who was in the running that year, but I thought sh even though the movie I don't think the movie's great, I was like, I think
yeah,
she was the best part of it, to be honest.
yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think it's a great idea for us at this point in time in 2026 to really put either limitations or whatnot on how we as especially black women should act. I wish that the world was equitous, is that the word, equitable enough where we didn't
Mm,
have to feel like we can't portray X role or we have to portray X role. um, and then it seemingly only to be recognized by these massive institutions when we do the same thing,
right.
and that bothers, that's annoying because why is it like that? why why is that the thing?
Facts. Yeah, and it's 'cause I'm very much aware of or with the have the understanding of how things manifest, Hollywood side, like, this doesn't work until this works. This doesn't work till this work, or we're not allowed to do these things. Even just the categories, the fact that, and we're going to talk about Sinners in a little bit, but the fact
Mhm,
that when Sinners got nominated for their Oscars, how they tried to change the genre from horror to like
mm,
supernatural thriller or something to that effect, because uh, they don't respect horror, and which is
mhm,
silly. It's an art form. Like, what are you
yeah,
doing? But and so like I can understand in that sense of like, oh, we don't win unless we're et cetera, et cetera. And while there might be some true to that, I also feel like, for instance, they were talking about Denzel Washington in Training Day, and I was like, he did win an award before that.
yeah,
And not only that, but if you look at Training Day versus a few of the other roles that he had been in up until that point, it was a nice departure from what he usually plays, and I think
mhm,
that's why it put him over the top because
mhm,
he's usually the hero. Even
yeah,
in Mo Better Blues, he's not a good guy at all,
yeah,
but he's still very much him, like a version of himself.
mhm,
Whereas in Training Day, I felt like he this is not the Denzel I grew up with. This was,
mhm,
this was a different, seemingly different person on
mhm,
screen. And I think that's what kind of, plus it was a good movie. Like, I think that would kind of put him
yes,
over, So it's not just because like, oh, he had to be a crooked person before they gave him an award. I don't think we've been crooked before. We have plenty of
yeah,
films of us doing unsavory things and not winning an awards for them, for
yeah,
that not to be some type of conspiracy. So
yeah,
no, but I do get it where the idea comes from. This also reminds me real quick of there was talks about and I'm not going to talk about the singer who brought this up because she's been getting enough flack as is, but she talked about how Pam on the Martin show, how some of the jokes weren't, they were more colorist if
yeah,
anything.
mhm,
And while I don't think that's necessarily the case, uh I also don't think that the defense that we give for it is good enough. For
mm,
instance, people will say like, well, Martin joked with everybody and everybody got
Mhm.
joked on. That's never flew with me because just because you're offensive to everybody, like if you're if
Equal
you think
opportunity
about it,
offender.
right, think about it. If someone is dissing everyone's mother and no one else does something, but then they diss yo mama, that's a problem. Like you're not going to be like, oh, he also said something about his mom. Like, no, you're going to swing on him. At least from where I'm from,
Right.
that's a no. That's a no. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't understand that idea, and I think that the jokes that pertain to her being an animal with
Mhm.
being a dark skinned woman was not in good taste. It just
Yeah.
wasn't, and that uh, gives some credence to the criticism that there was some coloristic stuff in play, especially with her counterpart being Gina, a light skinned woman.
Right.
That being said, I can also still be like, I don't think that was the case, considering Pam was initially supposed to be an overweight woman, and they had all these different jokes written, and a lot of the jokes that they came up with was done. Um, it wasn't necessarily written. Like they would joke with each other back and forth and be like, okay, we're gonna keep these particular jokes or
Mhm.
whatever. That's a lot of the reasons why you see Martin breaking character is because there's a joke that'll happen that wasn't scripted, and so um, I think two things can be true at the same time, and I think
Mhm.
that we are allowed to criticize the things that we love. I do think you
Yeah.
can criticize one after another and still recognize that Tiana Taylor did a great job and she's deserving of the Golden Globe. And that is the problem that I see on Twitter is that we can't do that. We can't have two thoughts at the same time.
Yeah.
Everything has to be extremes. And even when we start to ask questions or to investigate why we feel the way we feel, all we get is toxicity. We get name calling and fights and all this other stuff, which is sad because I think there's some good conversation to be had about this stuff amongst us. Anywho, moving on
Yeah.
to our next topic, more beneficial or like a celebratory topic is Sinners breaking Oscar records. They have been nominated for 16 Oscars. Um, the last group of films to have this type of achievement was I want to say All About Eve, La La Land, and The Titanic, which all of them got 14. So they were the lead at one point, and
Mhm.
Sinner beat all of them. Shout out to Sinners. And I think the most anyone's ever won was for Titanic, The Return of the King, and Ben Hur with 11 apiece.
Mhm.
So there's a chance for them to break history again, which I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
Not only because I think the fact that it's an hour type of film, and I like Ryan Coogler, but also because
Mhm.
it's a horror film, and I think horror film gets snubbed all the time. There are really really good performances in horror films that get looked over because of the genre. I don't think that should be a thing at all. I think the genre should just tell you what type of film you're looking at, but it should not tell you it shouldn't be some type of label on quality because there are
Yeah.
amazing action films. There are some action films like The Matrix that changed filmmaking. There's
Yeah.
some horror films like like Psycho that changed filmmaking.
Yeah.
I think you ought to respect that. Same thing with sci-fi with 2001 Space Odyssey changed filming. I don't think you just get to well, I'm not. It's not me, but the people who are sitting up there voting are like, well, I only respect if it's a drama. Like that's
Yeah.
stupid. Okay,
It
it's
is.
really
It's
really
silly.
dumb. But yeah, so they won. Not one. Sorry, they got nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor in Leading Role, Best Actress in Supporting Role, Best Actor in Supporting Role, Original Screenplay, Casting, Production Design, Cinematography, Costume Design, Film Editing, Makeup and Hairstyle. Shout out to them. Sound, Visual Effects, Original Score, and Original Song. Amazing. And I hope they get majority of these, if not all
Mhm.
of them, because
Mhm.
not only was Sinners a good film, I think it's deserving of it. I think it's deserving of all the nominations that they got. And I also feel like the only other film that will compete is one after another, and I think that film is completely mid. So, um, I'm rooting for them, and for Ryan Coogler because
Yeah.
he did an amazing job, and he's a I don't know him personally. I
Right.
hope to eventually interview him on this cast.
Yeah.
But what I
That'd be
can
great.
say, he seems very personable. He seems very like a cool person.
Yeah.
And the way he's gone about even just talking about the movie, how he gives everybody else credit, how he, you know, is so enamored by how the filmmaking of it all and theaters and you know, there's a certain vibe that I got for him versus Cameron when it came to the Avatar, like how he was talking. Like there's
Mhm.
a different there's a a level of humbleness that is
Hmm.
not that you have to be this way, but it's like you want this person to win more so. I would
Mhm.
think,
Mhm.
and I'm like Issa Rae. I'm voting for everything black. So
Right.
that's just that's just it. But what were your what were your thoughts when you heard that Sinners broke Oscar records? Some people are saying this is the naysayers are saying this is a fix. Like this is the fix is in. Like we're going to nominate them for a bunch of stuff, and then they're not going to win anything. As opposed to being like we're going to get a lot of people to watch, like a lot of our people to watch, but they're not
Mhm.
actually going to give them anything. So I was curious on what your thoughts were about that.
Well, I'm hoping that that's not the case. I wanna be, um, what's the word? Hopeful. I
Yeah, hopeful hopeful works.
I'm like, because my brain doesn't. Hopeful works, but my brain does not. Um, I I am so excited that this has happened. Anything positive that happens to Ryan is what's a win for us, but it's also
Yes.
just a fu to the cops that try to arrest him. It
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna always go back to that. I'm gonna always go back to how y'all treated a black man. Everybody in
Yeah.
that damn establishment and all them cops who try to treat this man like he was a freaking criminal when he literally called the bank beforehand, tell them he was coming
Right.
to pick up the money, and they didn't do their job because they're stupid. Okay, so any positive, any wins for this man, besides the fact that it's a win for us, it is an fu to anybody who ever did it wrong.
Yes.
So that's number one. And then number two, um, speaking of Twitter and Black Twitter and how they keep going after Variety.
Oh my God.
The massive amount of posts. It's like, Variety, you better not touch this. Variety, how about you sit down? Variety, nobody needs your opinion on this. They're like Variety writers
Mm-mm.
when they see that Sinners is nominated. They're like, nope, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to. Let's just skip. Let's just go to the next article.
It's wild.
There's that. I'm totally happy and excited. I really wish that I had been able to watch this movie because I haven't. Because again, like I said, I don't do anything except go to work and take care of my dog, who I clearly must have done something right because she has now stopped licking the pillow and she's now just sniffing and kind of. I would say she was looking at the pillow, but she's blind, so she's not. But you know, I I am so happy for everybody who's part of this movie. I'm happy for Michael B. Jordan. I'm
Yeah.
just excited. I'm just I'm excited. And I'm excited because the horror films that have been coming out and have been getting critical acclaim and have been really, really good are featuring black actors and black
Yeah.
directors. And that makes me really, really happy. Really, really happy. And I don't even care for the horror genre. Like you and I talk about this all the time. Like horror's not my it's not my thing.
Right.
Like I'm not excited every time a new horror film comes out. Like I'm not, oh, I have to go see this. Um, because I don't not that big of a genre person anyway, but like well, I shouldn't say that, that's not true. But horror is not my genre. But I do like a good horror movie if it's good. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just like anything. If it's a good movie, I'm gonna want to see it.
It's
I
kind of
mean,
like exceptions to the rule, right?
yeah,
I'm not a big like romantic comedy person, but
yeah.
there's a couple that I'm like, this is fire. You should go watch
You
it.
should go
It's
watch
really, really
this.
freaking good.
Yeah.
Love and Basketball isn't one of them. I'm sorry.
No, no, it's
I'm
not.
sorry.
It's not a good
Sorry,
movie.
y'all. Sorry.
It's not a good
Sorry.
film. It is.
Yeah.
It
No.
is. Let me take that back. Let me not say it's not a good movie. Let me tell you that the story is trash, and obviously, a story makes up half of a movie,
Right.
because that should not happen in anybody's life. You should not take scraps. Okay,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can do better for yourselves, women, ladies.
Yeah.
Okay,
You should be mad
and
at that.
yeah, exactly. So there's that. But I am I'm so happy and excited for them. And I think that a lot of people have started to say in the past several years that that the Academy doesn't matter to them,
Right.
you know? But it obviously does still matter to people, and it still matters to the greater public. So this winning an Oscar is still a measurement. It's still a pinnacle metric.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? I think that people are missing, um, because this is I know this kind of like parallels music, and this is why I bring this up is because
Mhm.
people are a lot of talk on the internet is like how much people sell. Like, did this
Mhm.
album your favorite artist isn't great because they didn't sell this many albums, and it's like that's a thing that I think fans talking about is weird. But when it comes to the Oscars, it's a little different because even just being nominated is a big win for that particular person because now their pay goes up. Everything
Mm.
goes up with them.
Yeah,
You know, when they have the little like Academy Award nominated actress, blah blah blah, but in front of a film,
exactly.
that's a big deal.
It
Everything
is.
about them go up. Their career goes up to another level. They get called back for other scripts. They get to try different things when you have that type of acclaim. Like f- uh, um like being a director for a film like this, because like we know that Ryan can do he has so much leeway when it comes to Marvel.
Mhm.
Like they were like, work on Black Panther 3 whenever you freaking want. Like just do whatever you want.
Yeah, just
Two
spend the
successful
weekends on your
movies.
spare time.
Exactly, 2 successful movies. The first one hit over a billion. Like, do whatever you want. And then like with this the WB contract that he signed where he actually gets the rights back to Sinners, it's like he was able to set that up even though it's not a new thing, he was able to set that up based on his work, what he's done prior. And
Mhm.
so the next thing he does, it's like, "Oh, now you have all these accolades. You have more freedom." And then the fact that he
Mhm.
branches that out, like his wife um I want to say his wife is part of the production company. Like she has her own company that helps to produce, and so the money goes back to them in two ways. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
the people, the person who does his music. I can't say that. I can't pronounce his name. I don't want to ruin it, but he has done the sound for all of his films, for
Mm.
Black Panther, for um, this film, for the Fruitville or whatever,
Mhm.
Fruitville Station. Like he's done all of it. So he's brought everybody with him. And I think Michael B. Jordan has been in every film he's ever made.
I
And
think
so
so.
like he is, which is also another thing that I admire of him is that the people that he rocks with, the people he was in school with, the people that his family, his friends, he brings them all with him, and they
Mhm.
all work very hard because they know they're working for him. And so
Mhm.
you get these amazing performances, you get these, amazing musical score, you get these, like just everything across the board is a combination of who he is as a talent and then also what he does and how he makes people feel and the results is Sinners. You know what I mean? And so that's another reason why I'm like, even if he wins nothing, the fact that they were nominated, this is Michael B. Jordan's first nomination, like his first
Right,
nomination.
and he has been doing crazy stuff. The man has been doing everything. He's been in every movie.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot. And so the fact that he this is his first one and is with his friend, like that's
Mhm.
huge. You know what I mean? And so I'm excited. I do hope they win. Like I said, I hope they win all of them because that would be such an amazing night for Black folks and
Yeah.
for them especially. It would be such. I don't think they are because again, people are really, really. I'm not mad if you like the film. I am not one of those people who are, you say you like something and I'm like, you must be quote unquote, you can feel it whatever you want, because it's subjective. This is art that we're talking about. What I
Yeah.
will say is, and it's a fact that one battle after another is not better than Sinners. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah,
It's not a
I
fact.
think
It's not a
we don't
fact.
have to argue on that.
All right, the last topic we want to talk about was the recent trailer for the Masters of the Universe film, new film. And I want to talk about this because of a couple things. One, I think it's hilarious. We're not going to go over this too long, but the fact that people are looking at the part where it says he, him, and they're not seeing the joke in the fact that he's called He Man
He-Man,
is bananas to me. And I think that you all need to go out and touch grass,
please.
gravel, asphalt. You just need to be outside. I think you are
Yeah.
behind your computer a little too much. Cause yeah. What I will say beyond that though is that the trailer. I'm excited for He Man, even though it's not hugely nostalgic for me. Just because of how long it's been since a He Man has been in the talk. Like I know the Netflix show was really really good. I enjoyed it, but outside of that and my old memories of the older film and the older cartoon show, it's not like Transformers where there was a new animated show like every year. Um,
Right.
I my nostalgia level is low, but I'm excited to see what they do with it. On the flip side, though, looking at the trailer, it looks like every other superhero something like ensemble film. Even the color grading, I feel like is just. I expected brightness, bright
Mhm.
colors, over the top shenanigans. This whole fish out of water storyline to help you potentially explain his universe to people who don't know what He-Man is not it's just not what I want at
Mm-mm.
all. I want like freaking James Gunn's Superman where he starts the movie as Superman. He
Mhm.
actually starts the movie already beaten up. Like I was
Yes.
thinking it was going to be like a flash forward, flash back type of situation. No, this is
Yeah.
present time Superman being slapped around. Like that was great. We didn't have to go through any origins like talking about. It was mainly like we are here now because we know what it is. I
Yeah.
think I think the Masters of the Universe film, although they, some explanation is needed, I don't think you need to have it where this person is just unaware or essentially don't know what happened over the last however many years, and we have to go back with him and figure it all out. I just don't want that as a story. I just
Right.
don't. Um, and it just it has a very much of a Guardians of the Galaxy. I think someone did a like a hypercut of like
They did.
all those type of shit, those films, right? And it's like yeah, they even have the same pose at one point. And it doesn't help that Idris has already been in Suicide Squad and in in this like in a
Like,
similar manner. Like it's like it feels very samey. I'm hoping it isn't. I'm
yeah.
hoping it isn't. And I could say that at the very least, Skeletor looks amazing. I
He
don't know
does.
why, is giving me bad B vibes, but that's just what it is. It's yeah, Skeletor looks
Yeah.
great.
Skeletor
Skeletor
really
looks great.
does. He really does actually look great. And the thing for me, I think one of the issues with that for me, it was Skeletor looking great, is like I keep seeing that little cut where Skeletor goes, "What?"
Yeah.
and like, and I'm like, Skeletor looks amazing and looks like, oh, okay, that's a villain. I should
Yeah.
be scared of him. I was never scared of Skeletor in the show because
Right?
Skeletor was so ridiculous. There was nothing
Yes.
serious about this show. And maybe it was serious when I was 5, you know. Maybe there
Facts.
was seriousness to it when we were children and the stakes were high because we didn't know any better. We
Right.
didn't understand the world. And it's like if He-Man gets into a pickle, like we're like, "Oh my god, He-Man, he's gonna," like we don't know what's gonna happen. He's gonna fall into a volcano. He's gonna fall into the lava and die. Oh no. And as adults, we're like, first of all, not going to happen because then the movie would be over. But second of all, not going to happen because it's not. Because He Man always wins. Da, 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 da. And
Right.
I was potentially hoping, because again, I can't take it seriously and and I don't think any of us should. Um, I really, and maybe this has been done because it has. It has been done. I think that we know that it's been done. But where we have the type of films where we don't take the superheroes seriously and we laugh at them
Right, right,
and
right.
they're laughing a little bit at themselves too, kind of a little bit like The Tick, which is I just freaking
Amazing. Yeah.
love The Tick. Um, because one like the signature things about He-Man is his big square chin, you know, a dimple in his chin and the big biceps and everything. You know, just there's nothing you can take seriously about He-Man, especially if you are an adult. Again, when you're a child, and of course you're trying to like force masculinity down your throat and all these other things, you know, masculinity with a bare loincloth. Yeah, sure. But like I just I feel like this should not be serious. It and I'm not talking about a what is that? What
You're
did
not
you
you're
call?
not saying that it should be competent, just not serious.
Right, right. Because it needs I don't, as a human adult, I can't be transported to this world. You know,
Facts. Yeah.
okay, this doesn't exist, and I want it to be as funny as humanly possible because it's Like, I'm not going to believe you. I fear that we might end up with one of those situations that we did with Mortal Kombat, where they
Mm.
tried to tell us that the other realms exist and everybody was living in our world, and then they would go to the other realms to do their fighting and all this kind of stuff. And it was like it's a lot of exposition, and just in us having to believe that these other realms exist, and none of it makes any sense. I do not understand where Hiroyuki Sanada, love him by the way, learned English in that period of time to only say, "Get over here." I'm still trying to figure this out. I'm still
Right.
trying to understand it. Don't know why he's not saying it in Japanese, and I don't understand. I get it in the game. We all get it in the game. It's the game is in English. Okay?
Right.
But
Right.
as this character was not speaking a lick of English when he was introduced, and then disappears from the movie and then shows back up again only to say, "Get over here," I am lost. Like,
Yeah.
so so no, there was no immersion. You've lost me on world building, and so in that respect, what I am seeing from the trailer is that you have this man or this person living this life, this, again, you said fish out of water, who feels different, and then as an adult or at some point in time realizes he's from another place, and that now we need to go to
Yeah.
that place. And that in and of itself to me has more of a serious connotation with jokes versus something that's just flat out silly. Like
Yeah.
like and so that concerns me, because I feel like it would be better if it was just like, let's not take this seriously. This man is literally a size 56 suit. Okay? Okay,
Right.
let's talk about this. Um and goes from being apparently from being normally just walking around in his regular, I'm assuming, American life, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden is now walking around in a pair of underwear and some leather, bearskin boots or something like
Yeah.
that. So and oh, and there's a sword.
Right.
There's a sword. I found your
Yeah.
sword. Okay. Again, not clowning the movie, haven't seen it. We've only seen the preview, and I'm just saying, my kind of initial thoughts. I am hoping, because of course I want movies to be good. I don't just want them to be bad. I don't want something to be bad, like, "Oh, I told you." No, like, that's stupid. I wanna be entertained in this world.
Right.
So, I'm hoping that the film is good, but it is
Right.
giving me Mortal Kombat vibes,
Yes.
and Mortal Kombat movies, especially the one that I just talked about, are
Yeah.
objectively bad.
Yeah, I don't well, I have hope because it's the director is Travis Knight and he did the Bumblebee film, which
Yeah,
was great.
yeah.
He has an eye for this sort of thing. And so I have some, I feel like I'm gonna watch it. It's just
Mhm.
there's no we don't have to we can get that out there now. I am going to go see it. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's more of what he does with films
Mhm.
versus like how Minecraft was. And I know the Minecraft lovers out there, we had a whole deal with me saying it's not good, but it's just not a good film, and that's okay. It's all
Yeah.
right. You guys had a great time. But it's just not. And the same thing with Mortal Kombat. And also, I want to like be clear with this because people they hide behind this idea that it's silly. Mortal Kombat is silly. It's always been silly, in the video games and everything. Cool. The silliness isn't the problem. The silly
No,
it's the what's the problem is I have to believe that there's some type of stake in whatever it is you're doing. The
exactly.
original 1990 Mortal Kombat film, I could actually get on with that because
Yeah.
you built this up to where, oh, if Liu Kang dies, this is serious.
Yes.
And it felt that way with his brother dying in the beginning and all this other stuff. It felt there was some type of impact and I cared. It was still silly. It was still
Mhm.
like goofy.
Yeah.
Christopher Lambert as Raiden, like it's just silly.
It was very
But
silly.
they played it straight enough to where like I know this is silly, you know this is silly, but we still are entertained by what's happening.
Mhm.
Versus the new Mortal Kombat, where it's played extremely straight,
Yeah.
outside of Kano, And there's this new character that they introduced that to try to help us to build the world, but
Right.
everything takes place in our normal world, and it's like it does the opposite of what you're trying to do because now he's
Complete.
being explained as if like just the basics of how this stuff works, and so you have to make it instead of just being you're like, oh,
Right.
you have this there's this stuff inside you that gives you magical powers and blah, blah, blah. And it's like it's more silly now, like
Yeah, it's
it's
stupider.
no, because like in the original Mortal Kombat they didn't explain how um they just said Sub-Zero can control ice. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. There was no explanation beyond that. Liu Kang shot one fireball the entire film, and there was no explanation. He just did it. With this, it's like, okay, so what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to power up before it's Dragon Ball Z. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just not. It didn't work for me. I would just say that. And the only parts I cared about was when Sub Zero and Scorpion were fighting. That's it.
Yeah,
Everything else
that's
was
that was
whack.
literally the only part anybody actually care about. Again, Hiroyuki Sanada can sell me sand
Yes.
at a beach.
Yes.
Okay? Like he could literally sell me oil if somebody said that they were going to fry me. Like I love that man.
He's amazing. He's freaking amazing. And
Like
he brought a lot of life to the film. You
yeah,
know, that was needed. It was Mortal Kombat the exposition is what it was.
that's all it
And
was.
you know, just a lot. And I'm not gonna go off on it because we did a whole
We
podcast
did.
talking about it.
We
But
did.
that's the fear that I have with Masters of the Universe is that you can have because I don't want people to think like when we say the things that we're saying that it has to be a certain way. It could be played
No.
seriously. It could be a big all for laughs. Both of these treatments could work. I don't think they both work hand in hand. I don't think that,
Yeah.
or at least some of these people aren't good enough to do that to make that work. I don't know about
There's that.
Travis Knight. We'll see. But like, there's a hand in hand that they're missing each other if this goes this way. And then also because superhero movies is a thing now, and we've had so many of
So
them.
many.
Even though I'm not fatigued, I'm pretty sure this is going to have a fatiguist like, it's in the realm of fatigue with superhero because it feels that way. It feels like another like a spinoff of Guardians of the Galaxy. It
Mhm.
feels like all you need is a if they have anybody who's plucky like the raccoon, it's over. It's it. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be Orko, but they haven't shown him yet.
Mm.
Like I'm and then also the color grading, like it's I don't know what happened in Hollywood where everything is like this grayish thing, like this sheen of gray that's all over
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
So glad Sinners doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Um like have y'all seen the cartoon? Like I don't know.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
Like
And
it's
that is something to talk about because we had other conversations where we talked about one-to-ones. We had these conversations where we're like, um, take me to the world, immerse me so that I can feel that this makes sense. Like
right.
when we talk about using a particular medium, like we've talked about how it's like how some things work in comic books or some things work as a cartoon and some things
Right.
work as live action. Like we've gone over these things a lot and because it matters. And so
Right.
when you have a certain type of story, there's a certain way to tell it, or there I shouldn't say there's a certain way. I don't want to tell anybody how they need to tell their stories, but there are certain ways that tell the story better. There's certain ways that relay it. It's the same thing as if you were sitting down with a group of friends and you were literally talking about the time you killed a bug. How are you going like, you could I killed a bug today. Great, wonderful. This is why nobody ever invites you out. Shut up.
right.
Sit in that corner. You can't come out with us no more. Okay? Or you start off with like, "Guys, bro, remember my favorite pair of shoes, the one that I spent $400 on? Let me tell you why I can't wear it anymore." And you go
Right.
into all this detail, how this shoe is amazing, and then how this evil little thing showed up and you try to find everything in your presence to murder this beast, this intrusive beast. And all you could
Right.
find is your favorite pair of Jimmy's shoes. And you went to town, and that heel was what you knew that 5-inch stiletto was a murderous device. And now it will never be worn again because it will forever be encased in plexiglass with a dead bug that's on its point. That, my friends, is a story by a girl with a concussion.
And honestly, like think about like hilarity aside, it's it's inherently silly. It's about killing a bug.
A
But the way
fucking
you
bug.
told it, it was like I'm engrossed now. I'm like, okay, what happened to the shoe? Like, did you keep the shoe? Like,
Did you
that's a
keep the
lot of
shoe?
money to spend on a shoe. Like, what happened there? Like that's yeah. Like I'm just saying, like there's a way of and mind you, I'm not a director. Like these people know what
Right.
they're doing.
Yes, they do.
But I feel like there's also, and it could be a studio thing. It might not even be the director. It could be because the He-Man. It took a long time to get He-Man off the ground. Like this has been
Yeah.
in the works for forever and a day. I remember there was
Yeah.
rumors of I think Brad Pitt was supposed to play He-Man at one point.
Mm.
Like it was a whole thing. And so the fact that we are like the film is actually coming out this year, that's a plus. We got it off the ground, folks.
Yeah.
It's great. Um, it's just there's things that we've seen over and over and over, and the results are kind of similar. And when you invest in all this money, you gotta get the money back.
Yeah.
And again, there's been great, like really good superhero films that haven't been all that great at the box office because people are fatigued on this concept. And Masters of the Universe is very close because you're not even calling it He-Man, you're calling it Masters of the Universe. It
Yeah.
sounds like a comic book already, even though it's
Yeah.
based on a show, you
Yeah.
know. And so it in my head, I would be like, you know what? Let's make this stand out so much that it doesn't feel like a comic book movie. Let's make this stand out so it doesn't feel like the next DC film or the next Marvel film or whatever the case may be. And from this particular trailer, they have not done that.
Right.
They have not done that at all. Um, and so, I don't know. I'm looking forward to checking it out when it drops
Yep.
later this year. We will definitely come back. We'll, spin the block and talk about it when that happens. Probably me,
Yes.
because I'm gonna only want to be there. Um,
I'm like, if I
uh,
can find a way to watch it without me going, because people, I am not able to go to theaters. I
right, right, right.
cannot leave my home and watch movies in a loud, dark area. It's not going to function. I will leave in a stretcher. So
Yeah,
this coming from, yeah,
this might be something we have to do where we talk about it briefly, or I talk about it briefly, and then when we're able to rent it, we can watch it
right,
in parts, and then we will come back for a full type of review type situation a little bit
right.
later.
Or someone
Um,
gives me the bootlegged version, which I mean, I'm not telling you guys that you should go commit crimes. What I'm saying is that if a crime happens and I end up with the fruits of said crime, is it really a crime?
I feel like that's saying the same thing.
Is
I
it?
really do. I feel like
Okay.
that's yeah, that would be yeah,
Hmm.
because the fruits of the crime, yeah, that I would, unless you got it from like a pawn shop, but this is all digital, so that's not really possible. Yeah, I
True.
think it's about the same. It's about the
Okay.
same.
Well, I mean, no, no, don't go out and commit crimes on my behalf, people, or just don't get caught. Right.
On that note, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up today's episode. Shout out to everybody for rocking with us. If you've been listening this whole time on YouTube, feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you're listening on Spotify, which we do have a few listeners over there, I saw.
Hey.
Uh, Shout out to y'all. Continue to subscribe, add us to your RSS feeds. The people who are looking to watch or listen, but they don't want to, they don't have Spotify for various reasons. We're also on Apple. We're also on Steezer. We're also on YouTube, YouTube Music. We're on a bunch of different places. So wherever,
Nice.
if you go to Audio Boom, actually, is down in the description. If you go to Audio Boom, it has all the different links to all the different places you can listen to us. Click on one of them that suits you and subscribe, because we want to know what you think. We want to know, what topics you want us to cover, and stuff like that. And we just want you to listen because I think we're dope, and you should listen to us.
Yes,
It's
I
it's
agree.
circular reason, but it works. Just go with it. That is begging the question. This is a pet peeve of mine when people say begs the question instead of raise the question. Begging the
Mm.
question is circular reason. I'm sorry, that's my nerd moment for the week.
Hey.
But yes, feel free to follow. Like I said, we have a lot of cool stuff in the works for you. The YouTube is bumping, so yeah, we want to see you around, basically.
Yes, stick around. Come say hi to us. Talk to my dog sometimes. She likes it. Yep, that's it. Hey, everybody, please remember to be kind. Don't be a dick, okay?
Yes.
Don't be the person who put someone's food in a bush. Don't be that person, guys. Don't be the asshole who questions a disabled person and says to their face, "Are you disabled?" Don't do that, okay?
Yes.
Be kind, be empathetic,
Yes, Uber.
just be nice. That was Grubhub on both
Oh, it was
accounts.
Grubhub?
That
My
was
fault.
Grubhub on both accounts. Shame on you. Your driver asked me if I was disabled. I should have beat him with my cane and said, "Is that disabled enough for you? Now give me my food." Okay? This could have been a whole Family Guy moment. Anyway, I digress. Be kind. Don't be a dick. Wash your hands, wash your faces, and your butts, because some of y'all are still out here not doing that.
Yes.
Please, please wash your butts. That's it for us. See y'all next time. Bye bye.